Hello, welcome to Essential Intelligence for January 2018. We're back, we're here. It's the third weekend of the month, which is apparently when we are definitely going to be doing these shows constantly every month. So you can expect us at least semi-regular, even if we are roughly 27 minutes late. I am Eeply, as always. We are joined today by your boy, the brain behind all of European TF2 coverage, TurboTabs. How's it going?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. I'm pleased to see that we're no longer in the 1990s and having to just about discern your face in the oldest webcam I think is still active. It's good. I can see you, I can hear you, and this pleases me in a completely not weird way.
Does it?
Baby steps. Maybe next week I'll have a new webcam as well.
Maybe. We're also joined by, returning medic of the season, looking to be hopefully holding that title for season 29. Yeah, Ombrak?
Somehow I won that, and yes, it's me. Hi.
Hi, how's it going? So main topics for discussion this week / month. No, month definitely. We're going to be talking about ETFL season 29. We're going to be looking at the teams returning to Prem, the teams that will be playing off for a Prem spot, and a couple different changes to the ETFL season, including unlocks, and we can technically mention minor map-related things. After that, we're going to be talking a little bit about Rewind, now that we have 4 guaranteed invited teams, and the remaining 4 teams to be part of that kind of a big fancy bracket won't be established until the Friday of the event anyway. So we can talk about the teams we know about and what kind of stuff we're expecting to see. And then our final little section is going to be, as per usual, a series of Essentials announcements. So if you're interested in what Essentials are doing, what you can see, what you will be seeing coming pretty soon in the next couple months / actually next couple weeks, considering some of it, keep an eye on things. We'll run through all of that at the end and see exactly what's going on. So might as well go straight into it. ETFL season 29, obviously it has been announced. It's going to be happening. Most important thing is sign-ups close for all of us regular plebs, all of us non-Prem plebs. Sign-ups close on the 26th of January, 21 CEST. So if you currently don't have a team, get a team and sign up and play the video game, because it's actually really fun.
Playing the video game?
Ugh. I know. Not just talking about the video game, playing the video game as well. It's crazy. Not just sitting there in Twitch chat and saying, dude, back when I played the game, it was insane. Everyone was way better. Prove it, dude. So, returning Prem teams. We have actually. Before we talk about the returning Prem teams, because it directly relates, there is a bit of a prize pool for ETFL this season. I believe it's 300 euros for first place Prem and 120 for second. So, because there's money on the line, the money-hungry gamers that they are, Seven has decided to turn up again. They've decided to play this season and see if they can't grab a chunk of that cash for themselves. So our returning Prem teams, we have 5 guaranteed returning Prem teams. We have 7. We have Swift, obviously EU. We have Nunya. We have Ascent and Rakuzen, who is the team that won high last season. So as TurboTabs mentioned just before we went live, there's been some significant changes to actually almost every one of these rosters, I think, apart from Rakuzen. So let's get into that. First change we had is 7. Pretty not the biggest one, kind of expected considering everything, but Stark out,
AMS famous, in. Yeah. So, I mean, not too much of a change, because at one point they were playing with AMS. So, with AMS coming back in, I think once upon a time as well, they had AMS on the Scouts as well. So,
yeah, at least a couple
not
AMS
the biggest
here
change in the world.
That's it. Yeah. AMS has been like a recurring 7 kind of either player or regular merc, or would be like here and there anyway. So it isn't like it's any huge change to the roster, but obviously it makes sense that 7 will be playing with the same roster that they're going to take to Rewind in regular ETF Duel. Although, very valid point actually. Who knows how 7 season is going to go, because they are going to be in America during the whole of week 3 and a bit of week 4 probably. I didn't even think about that. That's gonna be weird.
This is where you throw down your 7 pedigree, card and just go like, what if we just don't play it, and then the ETF2L admins just kind of make magic happen until they come back, I suppose.
Or maybe they bribe the admins, give them like one of the worst teams in Prem, and then they beat them on like 160 ping. That would be embarrassing. That would be cruel. Admins, don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that. That's messed up.
What is interesting though is will Seven, like before LAN, the season has a purpose for them as practice for Rewind.
Yeah.
But after Rewind is done, like will they still be keen to finish the season? Like we know they reformed for Rewind specifically. This is their goal. This is their aim to win this. But once this is done, whether they want it or not, like will they keep playing the season full force, or will they like kind of drop it? This is what I'm interested to see, because we're going to talk about Rewind later anyway. So let's talk about the season. Like, will Seven be keen enough to play the season fully focused from start to finish? I don't think so.
Like, I would imagine the fact that obviously the way that Seven operates is like they still exist as a team, but they can afford to like pick and choose what they play. Really, the fact that ETFL has a prize pool instantly makes it more worth it. In terms of like, if you're going to do the first half of the season, why not do the second half of the season? Even though it doesn't really take into account playoffs and stuff, but considering how they'll be playing monthlies anyway, and all want to like prepare for the next monthly again, like more money on the line, it kind of makes sense. Like, do the first half of the season preparation for Rewind, and then after Rewind you come back, you do the rest of the season in preparation for like monthlies and stuff. Like, I don't think they're just gonna like suddenly ditch mid-season. I think like they'll kind of use it as just like practice for the monthly. They'll want to do it for the sake of like the 300 euros for first place. Like, I think that there's enough incentives, and it would be a bit of a like, it'd be a bit disappointing if they like disappeared halfway through, because I'm kind of looking forward to seeing, like, last season was good. It was nice seeing like a lot of the competition, especially at like grand finals, Ascent versus Swift. It was interesting seeing how it happened, even though it was like really weird what happened with rosters. However, there's that little asterisk of like, you don't have the consistent top team of Seven. So you knew, like, you could see the games were good and interesting, but you couldn't compare them against that like benchmark. I kind of want to see how the teams this season are going to like compare against Seven, and actually like, can they compete? Are they like close enough? Or are we still going to be in a situation where you have one team which is just like a significant margin ahead of everyone else, and everyone else just is sitting there desperately trying to play catch up? I think that's going to be like the most interesting part of the season.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, I think whatever form of Seven will be there, as long as Cadis has still got the helm, he's going to just staple in some gamers, even if people leave here and there or just get demotivated or whatever. I could very highly see somebody leaving after Rewind. Maybe if I had to take a guess at some, or stab at some names, maybe like Captain or someone who's been kind of circling the drain with TF2 and like, I'm kind of bored of this now, but there's still money and, you know, I'm still the best and all this. But
yeah, but I wasn't
maybe once someone leaves there, they might.
I wasn't like necessarily talking about people leaving. I was just like a drop of interest in the competition. Like, we all remember, like when Arctic Foxes won the season, they were a good team, but we could all tell that Seven wasn't really like committed to that season. So like, props to Arctic Foxes to winning that anyway. But so is it going to be kind of the same? I think you're right, Iplin, saying it's going to be down a lot to the competition they have. I think last season would have been a really great season with Seven, because it looked really stacked at the top of the tables. This season, I don't know much. It feels to me slightly lower in like when you talk about skill.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like one season is kind of average, the other one is really good, and we're in one of these average seasons.
I think generally you have, like, year by year, it always tends to be, it's like the summer season, the one before LAN is always like the big hype one, because that would make their teams preparing for LAN. And then that kind of one start of like winter, it's kind of a little bit different now because of, like I said, Seven are going to Rewind, and potentially there could have been like another European team going to Rewind, so it could have been like a little bit different. But into like the actual EU LAN is like a significant distance away. So if there's going to be like a bit of a slightly more whatever season, it's going to probably be this one. But I don't know. I think there's a lot more to a season than just Seven. You know, we give them a lot of credit for stuff, but there's still a significant amount of good gamers out there. We have Swift, who has made some very, very significant changes. Silentes, as far as we can tell, right, this is all preliminary rosters, as far as I know. Very few have been actually completely 100% confirmed, but as far as I'm aware, Swift, like, Silentes is out, DD5F is in. and currently Ali is gone, replaced by PugChamp Overlord Nasboy, which is an interesting decision.
This is 100% confirmed. There's not going to be any shenanigans. Yeah. This is how they're going to enter the season, and unless unexpected turns of events, this is how they're going to finish the season. Unless bad results or Tiger quitting mid-season or anything like that. But this should be the 100% confirmed roster for Swift, with Tiger and Samsy still playing Scout, and Babs still playing Medic, Polygon still playing Pocket.
Yeah. It's I think obviously the one thing everyone's going to be saying about it is like, you compare Ali to Nasboy, that's a very rough comparison to make. Like, it isn't. I think a lot of people have the same mindset of Nasboy as, you know, quite a while back, where he would farm on TF2 center for like a good few years, and then farm on whatever pickup PugChamp whatever would be going on. Definitely in terms of pedigree, not the same kind of thing. Like, I don't know, you can't really make that comparison with Ali, but then again, you could almost argue that with Swift having so many strong personalities and strong mindsets in terms of playing the game, like Smizzy has a very strong mindset of how he wants to do things, and Tiger is very similar. I don't know. I think it almost like makes sense if it's just you get him, you have him play demo. He's got like strong DM as it is, and then you kind of treat it as a thing of, you have other members of the team, like maybe Polygon and Babs, like use it as an opportunity to even more solidify their ability to like lead the team main call. I don't know who was who tended to main call for them.
That's a good point. I'm kind of wondering who's main calling for that team, because with Ali leaving, and I mean, I'm not really knowledgeable of how much Babs calls in her previous teams, but she didn't really call for this last iteration of Swift. And the only person I could really mark as like a main caller personality on that team is maybe Samsy, but doing that from a scout position is going to be hard.
Well, Bani did it. But yeah, this is the more blatant flow in that team right now, is who's going to call.
Yeah.
Because when you look at, I'm going to talk about people I know, but like Baz and Polygon, they always been in a team with those really strong main caller. So first it was Adiski in Unexpected, then Ali in Swift. So obviously it's easier to play the game when you have a strong main caller by your side. But now that I don't know about Nasboy. I've only played with him in PUC, so maybe he has this crazy ability to call, but
I know
he hasn't played Prem before, so I doubt it a bit.
Yeah, like, it's a lot of faith to just pass over. It's like, okay, here you go, boy. This apparently the best potentially team in all of Europe. Good luck.
The difficulty in terms of when I was looking up, trying to like get some of these rosters sorted, is I'd look up. I looked up Nasboy to see, whether he's been actually scrimming with Swift. I looked up Smizzy to see whether he's been scrimming with Swift, and whole thing is just like 5 pages of PugChamp, and I'm just like, good. This is making it easy. So as far as I've seen, there's been very little scrimming, if any at all, for the Swift roster up until now. So maybe they're just going to play Prem and just treat it as a Pug team, and just whatever happens. I have absolutely no idea.
Well, and to be honest, like they're screaming tonight, so that's a start. And the other question mark is Tiger, because we all know with his work, he has like this really unexpected schedule where sometimes he can't play for like 3 days straight.
Yeah.
And from what I know, it kind of hurt the team last season, as in they never practiced last season, or really few times.
Yeah. Especially like after about halfway through the season, they just like more or less didn't scrim.
Yeah, and this team, I think, for it to be good, it can be a good team, but for it to be good, they need PCW. They really need to play together to like build synergy and stuff like this. But if they can't get a regular schedule, this is going to be really hard for them, especially at the start of the season. Or maybe not at the start, just like the start should be okay just through raw DM.
Yeah.
Then, as the season goes longer and every team kind of plays together, in all, this could hurt them.
Yeah, I think this is more important now than ever. I mean, with last season, you've got like the pedigree of all these players in their past, and the fact they've maybe had a Prem season under the belt. But with Ale Salentes gone, that's a lot of experience lost for that team. So they really need to kind of start nailing that team part of Team Fortress 2.
Oh, wouldn't that be crazy? All I want, literally, right? Open message to anyone in Prem right now, right on Ruckus now. If we could have more than like 3 Prem teams scrimming by week 5, that would be good. That would be great, guys. I'd love to see that because that was more or less what happened last season.
I wouldn't be too worried about it. I wouldn't be too worried about it. Like when you look at this, who were the team that won screaming last season? It was Lego. They're not playing anymore.
Swift, Low Panda.
Low Panda, they're not playing anymore. Swift look like they're keen, so like I have trust in these people to actually try to play the game. And all the other projects look decent, so I'm expecting maybe a slower, like slightly lower season in terms of skill, but at least I think people will be keen.
I have faith. If we move past Swift, we can talk about Nunya returning Prem team now. They couple very important changes in that. What was their roster for last season? Apparently, Condog, Eames, Lucas, Tobbs. It says Ixie and
Deox.
Was it Deox last season?
Yeah, it was supposed to be tiny, but he broke his shoulder, so so it's like 2 players from last season, and with Lucas switching class.
Yeah, so Lucas is now demo. Their soldiers are Charlie and Matu apparently, and they've taken the Finnish Dream Scout combo, other than maybe Predo as well. Either way, they have Nuthouse and Pescari, both of which are total fraggers. Big boy fraggers. I think
very impressive, very impressive scout duo.
Not to downplay like their scouts from last season, but like I think Nuthouse had a really, really good performance for what was his first season in Prem last season with the Weeks. And Pescari, obviously, as long as like when Pescari's on his game, he rivals any scout in the game, basically. When he's not on his game, things can go a bit kind of whatever. So I think if that team is looking to stick with a whole actual team scrimming, get themselves sorted and like all play how they're supposed to, I think like especially with those scouts, that could be a team which contests a bit more than you'd maybe expect. Like in terms of Charlie and Matu on soldiers, I recognize Matu. I recognize Charlie from making meme comments in TFTV, and that's about it. Sorry. Those seem like the biggest question marks there.
I know, but these are high players rising up to Prem, and I'm guessing they're going to have something to prove. You know, where they're hungry for it. Basically, they're fresh and they really want to turn up for this first season. Really show everybody what they've got and why they deserve this Prem slot.
Yeah. This is rough when you're a soldier because when you want to show what you got in Prem, you usually try to jump in and then you get denied by the
and then you get shat on by all the really good Prem
you know,
scouts.
It's already good, but like you mentioned it, scouts. I think a good scout duo can make wonder for a team and like exceed expectations. But I feel like every player in this team is kind of a loose stock. You know, like if they're not on a leash, they would be like go anywhere on the map. Like Kondo is renowned for his serves and drops. I don't know about Lucas on demo, but I think he relies a lot on DM. And like as we mentioned for Swift, who is going to call on this team? Because if it's going to be Condog, this is going to be really messy.
Like if you're gonna point out a team in Prem which you would argue basically every player is like at least somewhat lacking in discipline, it's gonna be this team. This is the polar opposite of Seven when it comes to discipline. They're free spirits, bless them.
I could see them drawing a lot of upsets just from playing their own game.
Yeah.
And I know, I think Connor, Corndog, whatever he wants to be called now, he's got a few seasons under his belt, and at this point, something's got to be sticking. If he's still around and he's still...
Something has to be.
Making up teams. He's striking me as like the I like to spin, like I like to spin 2 or something like that, pretty much just the second iteration where he's just always manages to scramble a team together come new season.
I think like it's so difficult to make real predictions with Nunya anyway. I think like they will do whatever they do. There's chances of like them pulling great upsets and beating teams you'd maybe not expect them to beat. There's also a chance that they kind of collapse and are very disappointing anyway. So I think I would put it to the Nunya boys.
Well, Well, if you look at the
Prove it,
history
huh?
of the Nunya team, season 26, 7th, season
Seventh,
27,
seventh.
8th, season 28, 7th. So, maybe there's some kind of curse on the Nunya name. I don't know.
Hey,
Maybe they can
right.
break it.
None
Like,
of this.
again,
I have
Okay,
faith.
because-
I have faith.
I
Sixth.
don't
Lego-
believe much.
At least
maybe.
sixth. Come on, boys.
Umbrak, Lego had the exact same sort of record at once upon a time, and look at them now.
True,
Now
but they're
third
dead
and
now.
fourth.
So, yeah.
It can
guess.
happen. You just need to keep playing for like the next maybe 10 to 15
Yes.
seasons. Eventually, you'll get there.
And then
That's
suddenly it
the,
just clicks.
Suddenly. That's the Lego way. So, moving past Nunya, we have Ascent. Obviously, there may be a player here which is a little bit more knowledgeable. Umbrak, what's been happening with Ascent?
Should I go all the way? Well, okay, so we just got new players because people got cut or left.
You got cut. Who did you
Mainly.
cut and how did you cut them?
Oh, damn.
We decided to part ways with Flu and Korvac
cut
and
Flu?
Neo. Yeah, and Korvac and Neo just decided to quit after a few weeks. They weren't sure if they wanted to play more. So we
Sounds
just
like
decided to keep. I heard that. We just decided to keep on playing, try to scrap up the good players from teams that we knew were kind of shaky, and I think we're really happy with our pickups. I think
Yeah.
Chris and Josh it's the Irish solo duo is looking really strong, and I don't think funds need more. Everybody knows funds, so
I have a serious question. Have most of your team, have you played with Chris or Josh much before in like a team environment?
So Chris, I think we picked him up after one night of Scrim. Like we knew he was good from playing against him.
Yeah.
So we had I think he was like second best from debut last season. We always knew he can pull off like really good plays, and we knew he could adapt to the way we play with really aggressive soldiers. We played like 2 times or 3 times with Josh all the time, like every time against 7, so like the best you can get in terms of practice, and it really went well. It clicked for the calls, for the way we played. Like I think the main asset from Josh is that he has the experience to make snap calls like on the fly on stuff we could do that I don't see, and this is really good like as a team cohesion thing for the way we play. So I'm really happy with we haven't played with them much, like with either Chris, Funds, or Josh, but the few times we played, it went really okay. So I'm really looking forward to the season.
How strong is Chris's accent? Can you tell which one is which?
Of course, yeah. Sometimes I don't understand what he says, but I don't tell him. So
I'm just making sure. I'm just sitting there thinking, how much can like Chris troll?
Let's solo.
I'm just thinking how much fun they could have. Yeah.
If I had to make a comment about the team on Rack, I just like the fact that it just doesn't seem to be equipped with any problems, at least from the face value. I mean, you've got a strong caller, you've got some proven players that have played in Prem before. I mean, you're keeping still the same amount of players to kind of keep that old vibe of the old team as well. But you've got, I guess, the rich experience of just all these other players and just trying them out in these different teams. I mean, Josh doesn't really get a chance to play in other teams outside of Lego, so I'm very interested to see what it looks like, a team with Josh with different people, basically.
We haven't seen that for ages and ages.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's ever happened, really. I think he's always played on a Lego team, so I'm very interested to see whether or not like Josh has any noticeable holes, maybe like the problem with playing with one team for such a long time is you get so comfortable and you get in such a nice groove that you don't even know what your weaknesses are because they get shadowed so much by your teammates and how they play. So say Josh is doing his Josh thing and he's jumping in all the time, and this is just not a good thing or thing that Elacore likes to play with, or Funds isn't used to it, or this malarkey and whatnot. But I don't know. I mean, look at the face value and just like the styles of how all these players go. It just seems to fit so seamlessly. So hopefully I'm calling it right.
Second place at least. At least second place.
This is really not how we're going into the season. We see we have like a lot of players in this team are really hungry for heals, so it's going to be rough to make someone well fed and happy about the way they're being healed.
Yeah, that is a good point.
So because like Elacor is a heel sponge, so is Josh, so is Fons. So we're gonna work on that,
right.
and really, I don't want to set like dumb objectives like we want to be at least second or stuff like this. I think much like the other team, we still have some work to do on cohesion and team synergy and team like. Really, I don't want to. Scrims have been looking promising, but really, I'm not going to tell you, yeah, we want to be second at least, or else we die. Because I think some team did that in the past, and it kind of ended really bad. So this is really not the mindset we have right now.
I think Elacor has played without heals in the past. This is way maybe a little bit far back, but
I think that, the question now would be, would you want him to not play with heals?
I mean, yeah, that's just what happened. People just, I mean, that's how hungry heal people get. They just one day they weren't getting heals, and then they realized, hey, if we keep pooling heals into this guy, he just seems to be getting better and better.
So he said like there's been not a great deal of play with your new soldiers anyway. Like you've had a few days where that's kind of it. So I'm guessing you're going to spend between now and like the real start of the season trying to get as many days in as possible to kind of see if you can get yourself in a decent position. And I don't know, I suppose it depends on your matchups really. If you get a hard matchup in the first couple of weeks, that'll almost be quite disappointing. Just because I think yeah, based on the roster, as long as mainly just work out who's going to be like a bottom bitch in terms of heals and stuff.
I think it depends if they get 7 or not. If they get 7 in the first week, that'll be a real.
That would be unfortunate.
Gut punch.
But that wouldn't affect us in any way. Like really, like people are gonna expect us to really show off strong right off the start, but we don't care about this. Like people can say whatever. Maybe we'll have some hiccups, but I don't know. It's really even if we lose to 7, so what? This is the best team in Europe. We don't care about it. Even if we lose to Swift, like I said earlier in a really patronizing way, but if we lose to Swift or anyone, it doesn't matter. As long as we're in playoffs are what matters. As long as we're in it, it's gonna be fine. Then we can play.
You're playing the game for you. You're playing your own game. You're doing it. You're sticking to it.
Like I'm expecting a lot of people to meme in chat when I drop or when Elacor makes a dive or stuff like this. But yeah, you know what? I don't care.
I respect that. Right. So those are the 4 teams everyone knows about. We have our 5th team, which is guaranteed for Prem, Rakuzen, which is the team that won high last season. For anyone who's not aware, that is Ace, Demos, Gotti, Raf, Scruff, and Sui. I believe their roster hasn't changed from last season at all.
It's the same.
And I think a few people were mentioning they were getting some like decent results in scrims pre-season, so might be looking to be potentially one of those teams that wins high and then actually does, doesn't end up getting last in Prem, because that's the way, at least it always like would tend to go. You'd have whatever team would win Div 1 or would win high, they'd end up kind of getting like beat down for the whole season and then end up on like 1 or 2 points. But it's always possible these guys might do a bit better, but it's so obviously difficult to tell because scrims, especially at this point, like this kind of preseason, so many rosters are getting changed. Results are going to be weird. So I don't think we're going to be able to grasp a great deal until the first couple of weeks.
It's just adjusting to the Prem gameplay. I mean, once you start playing against some of these truly outrageous players and what they can do, like some of the strats that were working in high don't seem to be quite as viable anymore. And you almost have to go back to the drawing board and just start working from the ground up again. Because some of these scouts will just not let the Roman do what he wants to do in high, or vice versa, and all this. So it's going to be rough adjusting. But I mean, they've got each other. They can
they stay together as a family.
And
they just need. I think the best thing about it is just they need to stick out this season, no matter how rough it goes, how well it goes, and if they just stay together, I think they'll get exceptionally better.
And the good thing for them is they're going into the season with a really good scout duo. I think Scruff and Sui are really strong. This is probably the main assets as a team. So it's really the fact that they stood all together as a team, like not getting any new players and having a really good scout duo is a really good strong point for them and really good things to show for when you go into Prem for the first time.
Yeah, I think
hope they don't get.
They don't get. Yeah, the start of the season is going to be really important. I think the start of the season is going to be really important.
It's just the trend of, when people are so used to winning in high and then they come to Prem and then they have to lose for a bit, it can get a bit demotivating. So hopefully they don't fall into that trap as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be first maybe 2 or 3 weeks we'll really see what they can do depending on their matchups, but they're difficult to predict too much. Haven't been exactly seen because obviously scrimming Prem teams and playing Prem teams and officials, very, very different beasts, especially at this point of things. So we actually spent quite a while on that. We'll kind of breeze a bit through the playoff teams. So there are 6 teams fighting for 3 spots in Prem, the 3 remaining spots. We have Danger Dogs, which is almost exactly Danger Dogs of old. Kermit, Scrab, Tom, Nation, Spud, and then with Morrow on Medic. So it's similar to a couple teams you've had the last couple seasons where there was Nation and Morrow, and I think Scrab played with them and then Tom disappeared and then came back. Either way, it is more or less Danger Dogs of old. Team you'd expect to be coming into things pretty strong. We have the Bus Crew. Fantastic name for a team. Yon, Deox, Alba, Martin, Tobbs, Poison. Another team full of, I said, Deox, Martin, Tobbs, Alba have all played Prem before. I don't think Yon and Poison have. I think Poison may have murked in a Prem game or 2. I don't think Yon has.
No,
yeah, Poison is murked.
Yeah, so team which is kind of on that high Prem kind of border. We have the Shack, a almost entirely German team full of some very recognizable names, as far as I can tell at least. Clip, Idolos, Shocky, I think he's been playing in some scrims, who knows. Leto, Big Boy Kratos making another return, and Fitchkop. So another team with some quite big names, significant amount have played Prem before, similar to Bus Crew, however, with some god tier Shocky thrown in there as well. So interesting kind of thing. We have the Swamp, Crayon, Daegu, Gink, Ilan, Pred, Domo. Very similar to one of the other Nunya teams we saw either last season or the season before.
Wait, isn't this just 3 out of 6?
It's a mix similar of, Crayon. Yeah, it's like it's part 3 out of 6, part.
No, it's just it's 3 out of 6. It's just got Gink and Yellen on it.
Was Daegu on 3 out of 6?
It was like briefly.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. It was like partway through a season they kind of changed a bit and then ended up getting Daegu. Yeah, you're right. Oh, so it is similar to 3 out of 6. So we have.
It's very similar.
Everyone on that roster's played Prem. So logically, they will be trying to prove things, trying to prove they're worthy of a Prem spot. Or Electro, which the roster is, frankly, I have absolutely no idea. I was talking to Potato earlier, and he was under the impression that he will be playing Scout for them, and they were playing with Eames mostly on demo, although neither Potato nor Eames is actually on the roster at this point. They played with Hempus and Simon and Eskimo and Azunis and those boys at various times, but I actually have no idea what that roster is going to be for the preseason playoffs. Apparently, Potato is supposed to be playing, and possibly Eames. I have absolutely no idea. That's like a massive question mark. And then we have Professional Disney Fangirls team, which I think got 3rd or 4th in high last season. Was it 3rd? I see. My memory's not too bad. CJ, Seal, Viljack, Milkman, Host, and Yak is their new addition on demo. I think the rest all played from last season.
Yeah.
So similar kind of thing. I don't think has anyone on the roster actually played Prem before. Did Yak ever play Prem?
No. Yak played some Prem playoffs, but I don't think he ever made it to Prem.
Yeah. So one of the teams you'd probably be expecting to probably not make it, but maybe have a decent kind of showing. Like I said, I don't think it's worth dwelling insanely, but just eyeballing the rosters, I would imagine if the Shack, the German team, plays how they should, I would imagine they would make it, and I would imagine Danger Dogs would get through, and then I would probably guess between the Bus Crew and the Swamp, probably for like the 3rd spot. Anyone got any controversial opinions to throw out there?
I think the Shack won't make it.
Did you say will make it or won't make it?
The Shack won't make it.
Won't make it.
I think it's going to be Danger Dogs, the Bus Crew, and the Swamp. I think Shocky and Kratos they haven't played the game in a really, really long time.
Depends how rusty they are.
So yeah, exactly. If they are in shape, okay, they're gonna contest a spot. But as of today, I don't think they will make it.
Maybe it's just the glamour of the old name, but I'm not sure if you know the pedigree of Shockey. That guy is just, it's almost like if he had a special effect, he just auto enters into Prem. He's just that good. I know even if time goes by and he's maybe not quite the god mode as he once was, but he's still really good. And goddamn, I bet if he just went to his profile and just did find it in page Prem, he's like, it will bring back like 23 mentions or something. He's just, the guy is Prem. And I think he can even bring back a rusty Kratos and, and like players like Clip and Fishkoff and Eidos, who again, they're not bad players. They're not.
No, they're not by any means.
It's a lot of players like on that border really between like high and Prem. Have you played any significant amount of these teams on Brack?
The only one we played was the Shack, and we rolled them. So maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I feel like Danger Dogs looks really strong. Like Scrap, Tom, Spud. I think this is a free way for them into Prem.
Definitely.
I look at the boss and I see good players as well. And the Swamp is, Yelen, Domo, Crayon, they're all good. So, for me, this is going to be tight, of course, but
I think if there's any justice in this world, it will be Danger Dogs, the Shack, and the Swamp for me, personally.
Unlucky Aura Electro and Professional Disney Fan goes, you're not getting a lot of love today. Unfortunate.
Well Aura Electro seems to be a mess, so
yeah.
Really
no idea the rosters.
See them in Prem.
It's that old philosophy of if you keep changing every single board in the boat, is it still the same boat as it was before? And even then, probably you do want to change out the boat because Aura Electro must have missed out on Prem like 4 times now between playoffs and Prem playoffs and just trying to climb the high ladder. And I don't even know how Disney Fan Gaze. I mean, they got third, but they I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot bigger names to fight off against. Who knows? They might just come in
and just absolutely pound everyone.
Turn up on the day. They just need
power of the Highlander,
all these teams just need to win one game, don't they? And they get into Prem.
No. So it's the first 4, like Danger Dogs, Bus Crew, the Shack, the Swamp. They all play each other. The 2 winners are straight in Prem, and then the 2 losers are going into the loser bracket.
Yeah.
And then for Aura Electro and Professional Disney Fangirls, they have to win 2 games in order to be Prem.
Well, this is even worse for them then. I was hoping that they might just get a 3, one team had a bad day, they had a really good day sort of pass, but now they have to do it twice in a row. It's looking hard.
Either way, we'll be able to find out pretty soon because I believe those games are going to be happening over the next week because the season starts next Sunday technically anyway, so it won't be long before we find out who actually does make Prem. Yeah, I think you've kind of got like a top 4 and a bottom 2 type of situation, but that being said, weird things happen in Prem playoffs sometimes. It's by no means guaranteed. I think the only other important thing to mention in terms of ETF12 is, in case anyone's lived under a rock, there's been a couple whitelist changes which are worth mentioning. To me, the most important one is to bring up is after the whitelist cup and more discussion with, I assume, a bunch of people who are important. Base Jumper has been banned. The Bonk has been banned. Or I say been banned, remains banned. The Cam Angler has been banned. That is actually a change. Gas Passer decided to be banned. The Natasha, that's a change. That's been actually banned. Same as the Machina. And then the only significant unbans really is Backburn has been unbanned. Vitasaur has been unbanned. And the Banana, which is wonderful. We were talking a little bit before the stream started about the Vitasaur. For anyone who doesn't know, the changes with the Vitasaur now works that instead of just keeping X amount of Uber upon death, you have to get a hit onto someone, and then you get an organ, and then for each organ you've collected, you save 15% of your Uber when you die to a total of 60%, but you're on 140 the whole time. So it's just like, I don't know, if anyone's feeling like really proving a point, Prem medics, use the Vitasaur and prove that it's actually good, because I can't see it happening ever.
Wait, your health gets put to 140, was it?
Yeah. You have a minus 10.
I did not know about
debuff.
that. That is
no.
I was the main, I guess, advocator in the our little pre chats.
But no, it's your health stuck at 140. So all those times you live on like 3 or 9, not happening.
That's a real shame as well, because there are you do get moments like that a lot, especially with that buff to the medic, where if he just stays alive for a certain amount of time, he gets that health back much quicker than he used to. So kind of want every little inching potential. But I mean, there are scenarios where you could make it work. There's times where medic used to just he's caught in
no scenario.
No, Umbrex,
no.
Please, Umbrex, humor me for just 2 seconds.
Like, just the fact that for it to be useful, you would have to die makes it bad. Because with the Uber, so you could live, like you could get the Crazy Soul and get the Uber, like Conduct did quite a few times as last season. But the Wither, so like if you don't die for the whole map, you have one useless slot. Well, it's not gonna happen.
And 140 health the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I really don't see the point of this. Where it feels like all the weapons that have been unbanned will have no impact on the season, and that's probably the main reason why they were unbanned. And when you look at the banned list, these all weapons that could have done something, either good or bad.
The only real thing which is kind of like to be mentioned is like the Backburner didn't get unbanned because it was necessarily pointless, is because the reason it got banned was it was bugged to begin with, and I think that presumably that bug's now been fixed, so that's the reason it's been unbanned. But most the rest of them, I can't imagine they're going to make any difference whatsoever. But
I don't really understand why the Machina has been banned. It didn't really seem that OP to me. Like I've been shot by Machina, I'm dead, I'm mad. It's never happened to me before, so I don't really know why. But I guess
I think it's maybe the scouts are a bit more upset that it just does a bit more body damage.
So it's like a counter to the best and most powerful class in the game, and that's bad. I'm missing the point.
I'm just taking guesses. I'm taking shots in the dark here. But yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a showman weapon as well, and obviously I do love a good show. So I want to keep it. But yeah, there's all these other ones are kind of like a bit expected. No need to really be talked about, except maybe the Vitasaur. But if the medic of the season says it's bad, then fine,
exactly.
It's
bad. Just get shut down, Toba. Just get shut down. He's not having any of it.
I played default medic at one point. I need respect.
Only one other thing to mention for ETF12, Reckoner's out, Granary is in again. So it's more or less kind of what a lot of people were expecting, / maybe even hoping for. Process, Sunshine, Gully, Granary, Snake, Product, Prolans, and back to Process again. So more or less the kind of default map pool we had for a while. Nothing particularly crazy in there, so more or less what you would expect. And that's more or less it for ETFL Season 29. Unless there's anything people want to raise before we move on to Rewind and hopefully don't dawdle forever. Anything?
No.
I'm going to have some new casters casting some preseason content. So, maybe type up what you think in a nice angry letter.
A nice angry letter
to me. And hopefully we're going to adopt some new talent. And that's the only thing I can really think of to announce. Oh yeah, I did take on some criticism as well, so we'll be doing not so much like play-by-play casters with another play-by-play casters. The reasons we did this before was we'd have a shortage of staff on some days, and we just slap them together. But hearing the amount of feedback I've got regarding that issue, I'm just going to make it so we have an abundance of play-by-play and analysis. And if we don't have, I guess one of each kind for that day, we're just not going to cover it.
Praise to TurboTabs.
All praise the Lord of EU TF2 coverage. I bow down. Right, so moving on to Rewind. Oh, no, one more point.
Yeah, just one more point. Eeply joined the team recently, so congrats to him as well. He's going to be analysing next season. I thought it would be very relevant.
He literally knows nothing about the game. and probably should be removed immediately from this show and all others he's a part of.
Yes.
So, Rewind. For anyone, again, living under a rock, Rewind is going to be the big thing for this half of the year. It's going to be the biggest TF2 event you are likely to see. It is 16th to the 18th of February in wonderful California. And we have our 4 guaranteed teams. The way it's working is there's going to be 8 teams in the actual big proper event. They're going to get split into like 2 groups of 4. Then there's like a round robin, and then it goes into playoffs, all things like that. And the way it's going to work is there are going to be 4 teams invited, and then 4 teams that qualify through the open games on the Friday of the event. So those 4 teams we know guaranteed will be at the event and playing are 7. The one hope we have for Europe to take down the Heathens of North America. We have Froyotech, returning champions of Rewind. We have Swift NA and Ascent NA, which both got through. They got that invite by qualifying in the little tournament that was set up, I think it was about halfway through last week. They bested all their opponents and earned an invite as a result. So more or less the teams you would be expecting. Honestly, nothing too crazy. There's no up-and-coming invite teams which have suddenly demonstrated incredible prowess. It's more or less the boys you'd be looking to be attending this kind of event, but I think it's good. I think it's a shame there was like murmurs for a while about like another European team. There was like, oh, maybe Lego going to go, maybe these guys going to go, whatever. But if you are European and want to support the home team, you have no choice but to support 7. Unlucky. We did mention, if you maybe weren't there at the start of the show, the one difference for 7 is that Stark is out, AMS is playing, and they've actually, one thing we didn't mention, AMS is Pocket Scout and Dash is Flank Scout now. So I believe they're still running with that. So slight difference to what you had before, but
we got captain now then.
Yes, well, exactly. So the difference between this roster and the one before is obviously AMS was pocketing last Rewind. Now we have Big Boy Captain and AMS on Scout instead of Stark. But apart from that, no, Rewind, it was last Rewind, it was Ali on Debo as well. And then Cadus was there standing behind, shouting them to not throw. Quite significant. Quite significant difference. Yeah. They did. There were various times where they did not stand on the point properly. Bad. Wow. So yeah, one of the other things kind of worth mentioning, probably won't make any real difference. They've adopted the same rule set as last year, so it's gonna be first to 5 rounds or 30 minutes, which obviously makes the most sense in terms of organizing, and will, I'm certain, make basically no difference compared to like the way games generally go in Europe. Obviously, we have win difference of 5, and usually that first to 5 won't make a great difference, but it's just if some game goes 4-4 really quickly, then maybe it gets cut short by one team just getting to 5.
Is it like the same as in PUGs, where like in PUGs, is it 4-4, you need round difference 2 to win, or is it the first to 5?
I've heard yes.
So it should be the same as in PUGs?
I don't actually know that for certain, but we hope.
Because like if it's 4-4, it's really tight, and then one round is enough to make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, that's a situation where like, well, I was thinking like would be very disappointing, but
I know. I mean, is it the worst thing in the world? I mean, it just comes down to who gets the 5th round.
It's a bit anticlimactic, you know.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit. It's kind of like if you get to that situation, as much as like obviously all the teams are like aware that could happen, but even still, if it does happen, it's you do kind of just sit there and just be like, that's not really ideal. I actually think we kind of didn't mention. They've got the rosters for all the different teams. I would imagine basically everyone knows the roster for 7. More or less everyone's going to know the roster for Froyo as well. They have Yomps now, so they're going to... It's a strong team. Yomps Frags. The current version of Ascent, I believe, is Corsa Slemnish. Paddy will be playing at LAN, I'm pretty certain. I think they played with Mela in the qualifier, but Paddy at LAN, Marmalou, Badonsky, and Nursey. Swift is High Five, Bot Mode, Laz, AIM, Yite, and then, according to this random chap on TFTV, CJO 404. I don't know who played in the qualifier.
404 won't make it. His flights cost too much, so he can turn up, so they had to get a new player.
That makes sense then. Either way, it's mostly those same kind of players you've seen at the top of Invite for like quite a few seasons. As no, in particular, the only person I don't really recognize is Laz on Swift, but that might just be because I never get time to watch any NA games anymore because of actually sleeping, and maybe it's some upcoming talent in the past few seasons which I've just completely managed to miss. But yeah, so there's gonna be. I think it's going to be a pretty good tournament. I'm pretty sure all of Friday they're going to cover all of the almost all of the open games, because obviously that will determine how the rest of the tournament goes. And then it'll just be the Saturday and Sunday is only the invited that top 8 brackets, and then so you have your round robin, you go into your playoffs, and then I believe grand final is going to be the afternoon to early evening of the Sunday. I'm pretty certain. Don't 100% take my word on it. Look it up. One of the other things to mention is that it is currently planned, and should 100% be the case, that the long-awaited Ready Up documentary, a Team Fortress 2 epic documentary, will be shown on the Sunday evening right before the grand finals. This is something which has been in the works for anyone who's been paying attention. You've been hearing about this for seemingly a decade. It has been every so often, every few months, you'll just get little rumors, little
before TF2 even happened. Exactly.
You just be getting random little tweets of this thing's happening, this thing's happening. That's been hinted for a long time. Apparently, it will be ready for the world release on that Sunday evening, just before the grand finals, which I'm excited for, because knowing a couple people involved in it, it should be really good. It should be one of those feels good moments, where everyone's just I like this game. It's quite nice.
Yeah, a lot of love has been poured into that documentary. It's been, again, under development for years and years, and I was around for some parts of it being recorded, very brief bits and stuff like that. And I guess that's a great thing about TF2 community. We're blessed with quite a number of documentaries, and I'm interested to see how if it can follow up to the pedigree of all the other documentaries that have given to us so far.
I've heard vague tells of how many hours people have been putting into it, and I don't know, you have some very, very talented people involved in it, so I'm sure it's going to be just as good as everyone is hoping it will be. No pressure.
Even guys, better. Even
the world's going to be watching. Ombrak, don't you just bloody love TF2?
I love TF2.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. So, yeah, I think, we're going to, obviously, probably the most biased cast you could possibly get here. Turbotabs, who's going to win Rewind, do you think?
I don't know. I heard 7 might skim away with it, perhaps. I think it's going to be close, definitely, whoever, especially now that Ferrero Tech picked up Yomps.
Yeah, I think Yomps is going to be I think Yomps is going to just pound at LAN. I think he's going to really prove a point and be I can shit on people.
I mean, it feels bad because I want to say 7, but I feel like that's just EU bias just kind of striking out of me. So I think it really is a toss-up actually between 7 and Ferrero Tech, completely. And I think Ascent is going to make sure everyone's on the toes as well. I think who knows, Ascent maybe on the day could just turn up huge.
I hope you're enjoying your time on the fence. Ombrak, give me something more definite. Who's winning?
TF2.
TF2 is winning.
Okay, I think I'm contractually bound to say Ascent is going to win because, or else I'm just getting jailed. But
that makes sense, actually.
To make things up, I'm just going to say the final will be 7 against Ascent.
Yeah? That would be my dream final, genuinely. If we have a grand final of 7 versus Ascent, then I'm almost happy regardless, apart from I'm not, because 7 will win.
Okay.
Okay?
No bias.
Right, no bias. Zero bias. Absolutely no bias at all. Don't worry.
Zero bias cast.
But I think 7 will win solely because they have captain now.
I think it is going to be really good. I think it's going to be nice. I'm hoping every team actually will arrive in enough time to properly prepare, get their practice in, not get some of those situations where, like I said, we've seen definitely at some I series where teams have turned up and they maybe arrive like 10 hours before their first game, and then everyone's like groggy and sleep deprived, and I know those first things are like exactly. So there was it one I Series Flippy turned up like he didn't get there the first day at all, then turned up like halfway through the second day and didn't properly have a PC, or just I don't know. We've had some messes, but I'm hoping every team can get there. They get that bit of practice in, and everyone can be playing like on their top kind of peak performance. Because as I said, if all the teams are playing like as good as they physically can, like basically any of those rosters has like total fraggers on it, which can just absolutely like pound. I said like the Ascent roster, granted, like they've lost Yomps, but like Corsa did some serious pounding last rewind. Slemnish is no like slacker when it comes to getting things done. Paddy has very strong opinions about winning and how much he would like to do that, and I am certain he will not let his team get away with a bad performance.
Paddy was probably the reason Froyotech took it last time as well. Keep in mind he was really had an outstanding LAN performance last rewind.
But yes, like I said, I'm sure there will be more stuff about Rewind as we get closer to the event. We won't go super in depth. So apart from that, our last little bit we want to go into just before we wrap up will just be our state-mandated announcements for all things Essentials related that Wolf forces me to do at gunpoint. Otherwise, we don't get a show. So important things to mention is there will be another EU monthly for February, which will be the weekend of the 3rd and the 4th. And going forward, all EU monthlies will be the first weekend of the month. So the system is going to be first weekend of the month, there's going to be an EU monthly. Second weekend of the month should be every month. There will be, we'll be getting information about an NA monthly. North America. Yeah, you're getting stuff as well, don't worry. There's going to be information coming soon. Plans to be every second weekend. So first is your EU, second is your NA. Obviously, this talk show will be on every third weekend, and the fourth weekend is going to be somewhat left open to a series of special events. I think we mentioned about that in December, series of show matches and more or less whatever the Essentials boys managed to create just for some nice community spirit,
That's an ambitious schedule. I hope that
it is ambitious.
Consequences happen of any kind. I mean, it is TF2 in scheduling, so
take everything that's mentioned, take it with a pinch of salt, or just a pretty huge pinch of salt. But this is the plan. This is what people are going for. 27th of January, so fourth weekend of January, we have a YouTuber Highlander show match with the likes of Dane and possibly Newzork. TurboTabs, are you excited?
Oh, I love YouTube, man. I love YouTube TF2 gamers. They're my favorite. I subscribe to all of them.
All of them?
Yes.
Good. There's going to be some Ultra Euro playoffs on the 28th, apparently. Although I heard something in the Discord about things happening today. Not 100% certain. Either way, that's what the notes say. Essentials are planning on continuing with their guest streamers. We had Cadus guest stream on Essentials last Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah.
The plan is to be every Wednesday. Next up is, once again, Uncle Dane. TurboTabs, you can be watching that.
Oh, boy.
Not to pick on you or anything. You're watching that?
I better subscribe to Essentials now
as well. You can subscribe to Essentials now. They have partner. So if you want to support them in all things they do, TurboTabs, give them money. Give me money.
Yeah.
There's also a plan for, you may have seen Beaters Meet Your Map, little competition for new mappers to come and get some money. That's planned to have, I think it's kind of like a bit of a double mix setup right now. I think it is going to be like a double mix, but with just regular players going to it. That's planned for every Thursday, so people can play and try out and see on stream some new different maps. Maybe see if we can't get something decent created. Who knows?
Maps
again, optimistic. I played in one. I believe it was yesterday. The map was an interesting thing. It was definitely it's an experience you don't forget quickly.
Yeah, there's some maps that are literally a gold mine. It's amazing. Some of these, I mean, just from quality, like great quality, to just some pretty unique quality as well.
Unique quality.
Yeah, there's only one map I can describe as like the Crystal Maze map, where it had so much going on with it. There was a death pit. There was It was a wonderful time to watch that.
I think I may have played that one. It was
recommend.
Interesting. One of the biggest things, which I think we may have mentioned in another one, but not fully, the plan is for a series of community profiles to come out monthly, and the first one will be on your boy Funds.
From Ascent.
Wow. From Ascent. Yes, that's right. Ascent Funds, that's him. That's the one.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What did you say?
From Ascent.
So, if anyone doesn't really get what the whole community profiles are, if you've ever watched like CS or Dota, they do the kind of thing where they take a bunch of cameras, they get a bunch of fancy footage of someone walking their dog by a river, and they talk about how much of an epic video gamer he is, their passions for video games, how they got so bloody good to begin with, and just give you an idea of the player behind the alias, you know?
That's beautiful.
Man.
I have checked with at least one of the people involved in it. They did not take any footage of Funds walking any dogs, so don't be too disappointed. But the rest of it should be juicy production quality. So
if they capture the right players, I can see some of these community profiles just being great.
Yeah, I said like if they so talking to some people involved, like they're very passionate about getting something like as high quality as they can, and just like the idea of even if just like a few of them get created to like a decent level, it'll be like I think it's such like a cool idea. It's the kind of thing where like when you see it, whenever there's like a CS major or like TI or something, just getting that little bit of like behind the scenes stuff, I always think it's quite cool. It's something pretty fun to do, and if we can get some of that for TF2, I'm all up for that. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I formally request that Ombrak is community profile number 2 because I want to know. I want to know what's going on in Ombrak's life.
Do you have a dog, Ombrak? Do you walk it?
Okay, I'll buy one. I'll buy one just for this.
Excellent, thank you. And our last little announcement to make is that there will be a new front end for the Essentials website, which I know been a reasonable while coming, sorting out the whole Essentials website. But this is somewhat what happens when
soon
there's a million things going on at once. Very, very optimistic in terms of what ends up happening. But yeah, that's all of the announcements we've been given. That's the bit of discussion we more or less have. Wrapping things up, the only thing I want to mention once again is anyone not signed up for ETF12, sign up. 26th is when signups close, and the more teams, the better. Keep an eye out for all the preseason playoff games happening within the next week, and obviously the season starting next Sunday anyway. So I think that's more or less it. Anything else people want to bring up, mention, anything?
How did we do for time?
We didn't do too bad once we got started. I think we're okay. TurboTabs, give me some shout outs. Who do you want to spread some love and happiness to?
Shout out to all the staff from TFTV, and I guess a big shout out to Essentials as well for all their hard work. And yeah, that'll be it.
Ombrak, who you gonna give some love to?
Shout out to Gem on production. Shout out to people at Essentials. Shout out to people at Ascent. Shout out to Credu. He has a dog, so if you want to make a community profile, you should.
That'd be good. Get Credu.
You should add him on Steam. And shout out to Babs.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Essentials boys, Steven boys, people from my regular mumble, and to Credu's dog. And actually, my last shout out is going to be for the panda in the background of Ombrak's frame, because
Low Panda confirmed.
Season 30, Low Panda Ombrak, just saying, gonna happen. Anyway, that's gonna be it. We'll see you next month, which will be February, 3rd week of February, and that'll be that. Remove us, Gem. Just let me know whenever.
Do you think we should mention that we're